So I'm not really quite sure how to feel about this loss from the Bulls because on one hand, it's yet another disappointing loss with horrible effort on the part of the Bulls, especially in the fourth quarter. It's their 8th loss in 9 games now, and everything is kind of just turning into a mess. That said, as we all know, losing isn't the worst thing this season. We all know the Bulls are only able to keep their draft pick for this year if it falls into the top 10. And of course, we all know that the further you fall in the standings, the better your odds are at landing in the top 4. A draft, by the way, that is projected to be one of the deepest draft classes in recent years. And I've been saying all season, ideally, the Bulls would be able to keep their pick while also prioritizing development of their younger players. But I also said, if for somehow the Bulls, for whatever reason, their young players exceed expectations, they outperform, they have breakout years, and the Bulls somehow make a jump in the standings, then so be it. It's one pick. Better to instill a winning mentality in your young players and work with what you have rather than what you could have but is never guaranteed by trying to manufacture a poor season where you're intentionally tanking just to keep the pick. The problem is, none of that is really happening because the young guys are not developing. They're not making strides in their overall improvement. In fact, you could say some of them have actually regressed. Patrick Williams has been awful and worse than last season, a shortened season for him. Coby White has been okay, still a player you can work with, but even he himself isn't having the season we saw last year in his Most Improved Player of the Year campaign, the year that he should have won the Most Improved Player of the Year. Ayo doesn't look as great. Josh Giddey, who the Bulls brought in and traded their most valuable asset to get him, has been up and down all season. And then their youngest players, Matas Buzelis, Julian Phillips, Dalen Terry, are barely getting minutes off the bench. So the Bulls' young guys are not developing. They're not getting better. And instead, you have the Bulls riding with their veterans to try and win games. But they're still losing said games. Really, the only good thing that has come about from this first half of the season is the resurgence of both Zach LaVine and Nikola Vucevic, who have been having some of their best years, bringing up that trade value to try and move them to a contender to really embrace the rebuild, get younger and add more draft capital while also improving your odds at landing a top pick in this year's draft. Outside of that though, can't really say there is much to be happy about and to look forward to with this team. It would be different if you saw some of these younger guys doing some special things, but we're not seeing that. Yeah, we've seen some flashes of potential from Matas, even Julian Phillips, who had that insane putback dunk tonight, but what good is it if these guys are only getting 8 to 10 minutes a game? Because you're playing Zach and Vooch 35 plus minutes. And look, that's why these next 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks actually, are going to be so critical leading up to the trade deadline because there can't possibly be any inaction on the part of the Bulls front office, especially after this horrible stretch of games where they have lost to some really bad teams, a stretch where you would have thought with the way the Bulls have been playing going into January, they were going to be finding themselves moving above 500 and looking at a top 6 seed in the Eastern Conference. Now, for this game, I guess first and foremost, one could call this an elite tanking loss because they were playing against a team that is right behind them in the standings and now closed the gap to just 1 game difference between them and the Sixers. But in this game, the Bulls fell apart in the fourth quarter after having a better than expected third quarter. They went on that 14-0 run and it started looking like the Sixers bench, their depleted, short-handed team, was getting exposed on the second night of a back-to-back. But then the Bulls got outscored in the fourth quarter 29-14. Could not hit a shot in the fourth. They could not get a stop. And my God, the turnovers, 20 turnovers in this game. Zach LaVine and Josh Giddey combined for 9 of those turnovers. Bad turnovers too, where they would just throw the ball away or it would bounce off their leg on a drive. The Sixers killed the Bulls on points off turnovers, taking full advantage of the Bulls' unforced errors. And look, maybe this loss wouldn't be as bad if the Sixers were healthy, but obviously, no Joel Embiid. Paul George didn't play in the second half after having injured his hand. No Andre Drummond. They were getting beat up out there by Kelly Oubre, Adem Bona, Justin Edwards, guys we've barely heard of in this league. Just unacceptable. Patrick Williams, this is getting bad. This is becoming more than just a slump or a confidence issue because even when Pat is being aggressive and being confident with the ball in his hands, the man just can't finish. He'll smoke layups at the rim or turn it over on a drive. 2 points tonight for Pat. Man shot 1 for 9. This is yet another game where he's been a liability on offense and quite frankly, hasn't been on top of his defense either. Josh Giddey, 4 for 13, 5 turnovers. Yeah, I mean, filling out the stat sheet is nice here and there when he's consistently getting close to a triple-double, but the eye test just kills me sometimes with the way he handles the ball and some of his decision-making. Ayo, 3 for 10 tonight. Where has our reliable scorer gone that could get you points getting downhill in transition and finishing at the rim, or hitting out on the perimeter when he was shooting over 40% from deep last season? Of course, Zach LaVine had his game, 25 points, 10 for 20, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, but Zach crumbled in the fourth with some bad turnovers and some poor shot selection on those deep threes. 2 for 9 from 3 for Zach, and what has been going on with his free throw shooting? 3 for 8 from the line. Respect that he's been getting to the line more, but he's been struggling to make those shots once he gets there. And then Vucevic, I mean, it kind of goes back to the game the other night against the Warriors. When the opposing team doesn't have a great center, where there is a clear mismatch down low, how do you not get him the ball more? 12 shots for Vucevic in this game. He was 8 for 12, which is great. 12 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 blocks. But you got to get him the ball more in the post in these types of games. And then Modest, Modest actually played well when he was in tonight, unlike when he had some mistakes against the Golden State Warriors, was a team high, +5 tonight in this game, 6 points, 3 rebounds, but only played 12 minutes. I don't get it. Like, what is even the purpose of the season? What is the goal here? To be honest, I don't even think they truly know that themselves, meaning the Bulls front office. I really don't. Anyway, that's all I have to say. Let me know what you guys thought of the game. As always, be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.